Hi guys, so I wanted to do an art lesson today. This is going to be the first of my art lessons about a negative space drawing, and this is going to be a great foundation for you to learn how to draw and really look at the subject that you're trying to draw. So I decided to print off just some random pictures of cats, and in this picture you can see that he's got a white background. You can do this with any object. I chose this cat because he's got some interesting angles. So a negative space drawing is where you draw the spaces around the subject that you're drawing. So you're not actually drawing the cat, you're drawing this space here. You're drawing this space. You're drawing this one and this one around the tail. And what it does is it teaches your eye to really see what you're looking at, because when you look at a cat, you really just you're just looking at the actual cat. But if you train yourself to look at the shape that this cat is making here, it will help you draw the cat. And I really like to start with this before doing any kind of other drawing, before moving on to actually drawing the cat, because if you can look at the shapes in between that are made, it's going to really help you learn the actual anatomy and shape of this cat or whatever object you choose to draw. So let's get started. Just pop this up here. Okay. So, the first thing you do, let's just draw this shape here. So I'm going to just do a line for the ground, and it's just going to be sketchy and rough. Another thing to remember is when you're just starting out your drawing, hold your pencil near the end of it and kind of keep your lines light and scratchy so that you can kind of just do it softly. So this shape here, as you can see, it kind of goes round. It sort of flows at an angle here. So we're going to go round, and then you can see that there's like the little paw, and then it goes up. Okay, so that's that first shape, first negative space right there. Now we're going to draw this shape here. So I'm going to kind of be aware of how much of a distance is in between these shapes. I'm going to think about this here, this line, how much of a distance is in between the two paws. It's obviously a lot less than the first one. And then this first line, this first shape, it kind of comes up almost straight, and then it actually slightly goes off to the left. And then you can look at how high this side is, this shape, and you're just going to, it's not quite as long, not quite as high. And if you want to, you can do like, you can really go for the fur, or you can just keep it simple and just do a line. Then this line here sort of comes down at an angle, curves, and then there's another paw here, and it's sort of a rounded shape. And this here is a pretty straight angled line like that. So that's our two shapes we've got so far. Okay, now we're going to move on to this shape here, and I'm going to start with this line for the ground. So this is quite a bit of a gap there, so I'm going to start around here, straight line. This isn't as long as this bit of ground line here. This is not as long as this, so, but it's longer than this. So I'm going to be aware of that, so I'm not going to do it quite as long. It's really about paying attention to the shapes and the distances you see. So this has got sort of an interesting shape here, kind of comes up like that, and then it sort of points in it almost like a triangle off to the side. And then this line isn't straight, it kind of curves a little Okay. And then to get down to the bottom, it isn't a dead straight line, it sort of curves and then goes straight. Perfect. Okay, so that's 3 negative spaces we've drawn so far. Now we're going to do the biggest shape of all, which is going to do it slowly. We're going to go around the cat. We'll start in the front. Okay. So we're going to move over a little bit here and go around this paw. Now this part, because it's such a huge negative space around the cat, it's almost like a contour drawing, except you're not doing inside. You're not doing inside on the cat, you're just doing the outside. That would be a contour drawing. So this is going to help you figure out the shape of the animal now. So we're going, remember you're not going inside at all, so it's kind of a round paw there. And then it looks like there's a bit of a distance here. It's good to always like look at your distances. So, and where does it stop? Here's another great way to sort of check your work is, this is the top of this line, and the cat's leg almost goes exactly the same. So it looks like it's kind of coming at an angle here. Oops. Okay, now this line is pretty straight. And if I were to guess, like this line here to here, this one's a bit longer. This is a bit shorter, this is a bit longer. So you're always bearing in mind your distances. About like that. Now we're going to go around the cat's face. So it's just got a little bit of a chin coming out here. And it's going to go in just a tiny bit. And keeps going around almost like a circle. Swoops in a little for the head. And then the ear, I won't go too crazy, but it's pretty much a triangle pointing out like this. So be aware of where the ears are pointing. So let's see. Kind of pointing. Also being aware that the head, if you were to imagine this would be a circle, these are across from each other, so I want to stop across from it. So you've got a triangle pointing almost up into this corner. Bring it down. And then we're going to go for the head, the top of the head. It's not majorly curved, it's got a slight curve. And then if I were to draw a line going straight down, almost hits his elbow right there. So I'm going to have a slightly, so if I think right, the elbow's about here, that's going to be where I'd stop. Always good to look at where would it stop, where can you kind of line up some angles. So now you've got the ear going the exact different direction, and he's going to be like, if you imagine this is a shape here, this is going to be perfectly aligned with this side. So I can press a bit harder on the parts I want it to do. And then this comes almost straight down. That would be straight. A little bit in. And again, it's going to stop at the same point as this here. Okay. Then there's a little bit of a neck here, which is this sort of a angled shape there. And now just kind of being aware of how much body he's got. He's got quite a squarish rectangular body, slightly curved over his shoulder here. And I'm going to see where his shoulder stops. So it stops right there. If I were to draw a straight line down, it would hit his paw right there. So let's see if I'm close. Okay, so if it was going to be here, You do a slightly curved line there. And then the rest of his back is pretty straight, goes up a tiny bit. And it's going to stop, I think we'll stop here, because then it's got a little lump. And if I were to draw a straight line down, that would hit sort of in the middle of this back leg. So if that's the back leg, I'm going to imagine back legs here. If there's a straight line there, so his back is going to go all the way to this point here. Okay, then there's a slight curved up here, and that's going to stop right about here, which is, we haven't quite got to that leg yet, so kind of right in the middle, right there of this line, so it stops there. So if I imagine that, curving this a slight bit, yeah, about right, about there. Now we're going to get to the tail. So this is what we've got so far. Pretty good. Okay, I think we're actually going to start here. So at the back foot. So I want to come in a little bit. I'm not going to worry about this curve. I'm going to do, it's sort of a rounded, slightly rounded side here. And then I'm looking at the distance right there. This line, as you can see, is sort of like this, and the hock, or that curved point of the bone there, comes about like that. And then where the leg meets here, it's a little bit not centered, and it sort of swoops. Right, okay, good. And then this is his back of his leg up to his tail. So I'm just going to think, right, this is the curve point here. This would be his tail, probably that much of a distance. So this, we're going to go there. All right, so now we've got to the tail, and we'll start up here, and it's just sort of goes up at a little angle there. I'm not going to worry too much about how fluffy it is. And then his tail sort of stops. If I was to draw a straight line across, there's that much of a gap between the top of his tail and his head. So it's always good to be aware of how much of a gap, how far up you need to come. There we go. Swoop around for his tail. Start down here. And as you can see, this line, it's sort of a little bit of a curve. And another bit of a curve there. All right, kind of rough. But there we go. That's a great way to show you how to look at an object that you are drawing. It really helps you see properly and get your proportions correct. Go back and make any little changes. This, and then now you've got like almost like a silhouette kind of a picture. So anyway, I'd like you to try this. I really want you to see how this can open up your way of looking and looking at the world and seeing things correctly. So you can do a very accurate drawing without, you know, having to trace anything, just by really looking at it carefully. All right, hope you enjoyed it. Love to see your negative space drawings. Thanks, bye.